Hello, Inside Out fans and Glorm Gangs fans. I'm Fear. Are you ready to read with me? Today we are reading Inside Out Sleepy Prince Fear Stories. Before we start reading, let's take a look at these pictures that Glorm Gang made for me. This is me as a sleepy prince. Am I adorable with that crown that has sleepy on it, with the stars on it? And I had a heart with the moon and the Z's on it. That's just too cute. And there's a picture of me sleeping on my pink fluffy cloud bed. Man, am I snoring softly. Yep, I was snoring like a kitten. And the moon and the stars and everything surrounding me was following in time with the rhythm of my snoring. That's just adorable. And that's the picture of me being a sleeping emoji. Boy, do I look so cute. Well, let's get reading. Inside Out, Sleepy Prince Fear. In the bustling world of Riley's mind, each emotion had its own job to do. Joy kept everyone smiling. Sadness brought moments of reflection. Anger defended what was right. Disgust ensured everything stayed clean and proper. And fear, well, fear kept Riley safe. Fear was always on high alert, ready to protect Riley from anything scary, whether it was a loud noise, a dark room, or a spooky shadow. But deep down, Fear sometimes wished he could relax and just enjoy a peaceful moment like the others did. I do always want some peaceful times for myself, do I? Like crying some magic tears out. That's just what I do sometimes during my alone time. One night, as Riley was getting ready for bed, Fear noticed that everything seemed a bit too quiet. The room was darker than usual, and the shadows danced in odd shapes on the walls. He immediately jumped to his control panel, ready to sound the alarm. Riley, did you see that shadow? It looked like a monster! He cried out in his shaky voice. Boy, I do get scared of the dark. Most kids do. Well, most kids hallucinate and see illusions. If you don't know what a hallucination is, a hallucination is when you see things that are not there, and illusions is when you see things that don't exist. But Riley was tired from a long day of fun and adventure. She simply sighed and turned over in her bed and mumbled, "It's just a tree branch. Fear, go to sleep." Fear was confused. How could Riley be so calm when there were so many potential dangers around? But he trusted Riley and knew that she was usually right, so he hesitantly stepped away from the control panel and took a deep breath. Meanwhile, Joy noticed Fear's struggle. She floated over with her bright, cheerful glow and said, "Hey, Fear, how about we try something different tonight? Instead of being on guard, why don't you imagine a happy, safe place? Somewhere you can feel relaxed." Fear blinked at Joy, unsure. But what if something happens while I'm relaxing? What if there's danger and I'm not ready? Yeah, most what ifs come to my mind, and sometimes I blatantly tear up on the what ifs and stuff, because sometimes they make me cry. Joy smiled gently. Sometimes the best way to be ready is to be well rested. And besides, you have all of us here to help you too. Here to help too. We've got your back. Fear thought about this. He looked around at his fellow emotions, joy, sadness, anger, and disgust, all of whom smiled encouragingly. Even anger gave him a supportive nod. Those eyebrows were still furrowed. All right. Fear whispered, "I'll give it a try." Fear closed his eyes and started to imagine a place where he could feel safe and peaceful. In his mind, he created a cozy little castle, surrounded by a gentle moat filled with the softest, fluffiest clouds. The castle was high up in the sky, where no danger could reach him. It was always daytime there, with a warm golden sun that never set. "Well, I usually like the night instead, because I'm purple, and I'm the color of the night." Inside a castle, there was a room just for him, a room with a big, comfy bed made of marshmallow pillows and a blanket that felt like a warm hug. He imagined himself as a tiny prince, with a crown that sparkled softly in the sunlight. And in this place, nothing could harm him. He was the sleepy Prince Fear, ruler of a peaceful kingdom where all was calm and quiet. While Sleepy Kingdom was Emotionia. That's the kingdom right next to headquarters, and in Imagination Land and Fairy Tale Land. But the Fairy Tale Land is in the book. Here comes the peaceful moment, a peaceful ending that I liked. As he imagined this, Fear felt a strange sensation. His tight muscles began to relax, his worries drifted away, and his eyes started to feel heavy. For the first time, Fear felt safe enough to sleep. Back in the control room, the other emotions watched as Fear's little body gently slumped into a deep, peaceful slumber. Well, if you don't know what slumber means, slumber is another word for sleep. It's another way to say sleep, too. Joy placed a soft blanket over him and whispered, "Sweet dreams, sleepy Prince Fear." And so as Riley slept soundly in her bed, and so did Fear. Yep, so did Fear, dreaming of his safe, cozy castle in the sky. And for that night, everything was calm, just as it should be. What a peaceful story. Let's take a break. So Glorm Gang has been filming plenty of HVAC videos, like a lot. She's going to continue filming more air handlers in the same hotel that she was staying in. And she will do more HVAC heavens. Isn't it going to be great, everyone? Well, Glorm Gang is still planning more HVAC videos later in the year. But in the future, the Amana P Tech unit at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites Hotel in Tampa is possible. If you're saying that it's not possible, yes, it's possible. If she's going to spring break, if she's going on a vacation on spring break, we'll have to see if the future video is planned. Well, I've got more things to do than usual. Glorm Gang will have to go back to school tomorrow. And tomorrow will be a new quarter. More new things to do, more new things to be planned, more videos to be planned. And my friend Art would be arriving anytime soon. I think he's arriving in May, so let me show you. That's a lot of slime. We're getting plenty of slime today. I mean, this year. And plus, some of my friends are arriving from their cruise ship trip. Even though the cruise ship might have crashed and it had a disaster. But don't be scared, I'm right here. So it's probably disgust, envy, ennui. Ooh. And these are our friends that are matching all of us. Each of us will get a cat. See? One is joy, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear, each matching an emotion color. Who knew that I want a big friend? I need a monster friend, Catnap. Catnap is from Puppy Playtime Chapter 3. And he's coming this year. Boy, he's so big. And plus, he's my sleep guardian. And we're getting this book. Yep, we all wanted this book. Disney Pixar Inside Out 2 Go to Sleep Anxiety. Because Princess Anxiety needs to sleep. So do I. Mainly, I'm a sleepy prince. See, everybody was surrounding the title in a circle. Glormgang's Goodnight Headquarters episode is on delay. If we can't not forget that. There's all of us. All of us. We're sleeping. But Princess Anxiety? Oh boy. She's filled with too much worries. Ooh, there's the heart cry-activated projector. Glormgang might need that because she might have to test it in some of the plushie toys to come with a battery box with the projector. And of course, our pink friend, Embarrassment. He's coming too. And here's Art. I'm sorry. Mr. Papadan, what are you doing here? Just to censor that, because we don't want blood in Glormgang's channel. Otherwise, her channel would be busted for our lives. So there's my friend, my best friend Art. I saw him when I was sleeping. I befriended Art when he was in a Santa suit right near me with an axe. Oh no, he was not supposed to have an axe. But don't worry, I gave him some support. And Princess Sleepy put him to sleep with the sleepy magic dust. Ooh, who needed some beads? These are magnet balls. We don't need some magnet balls for anything. We can build some anything. Even Inside Out characters. Well, let's get on back to the story. And now it's time to read a poem. It's the Sleepy Prince Sphere poem. They do have rhymes. Some poems can rhyme. And some poems can have repeating rhymes too, and repetition. It's time to get reading. In a castle dim with twilight's hue, a sleepy prince, so brave and true, lays his head where shadows creep, for it's time for him to sleep. Yet as his eyes begin to close, fear whispers softly, never goes. Of dragons fierce and stormy skies, and dreams where monsters always rise. In his mind a tempest roars, where every creak and every door becomes a beast of dread and fright, chasing away the soft moonlight. But inside his heart a spark remains of courage that can break these chains. He breathes in deep and lets it flow. The prince knows that he can let go. For sleep's embrace will gently mend the fear that shadows can't defend. And in the dreams where fears might play, he'll find a light to guide his way. So sleepy prince, let worries cease. Embrace the night and find your peace. For in the morn, with sun's new gleam, you'll wake refreshed from this sweet dream. Now, let's talk about my bedtime routine. You know how Glormgang gets ready for bed every single day? Or every single night? You know how Glormgang gets ready for bed. Her dad makes a yummy, yummy dinner. Even some that she loves. But she hates sushi. I hate sushi too. But some people do like sushi. But they had a bad taste in my mouth. We have plenty of things to eat. Yum, she loves steak more. I almost have every dinner I eat. I eat purple food. Sometimes she has dessert and sometimes she doesn't. But that's okay. Then she brushes her teeth and she takes a bath. And then she goes onto her bed, puts on her pajamas, and has a bit of playtime on her iPad before she has to go to sleep. And when it's time to hit the hay or hit the nerves, she goes for her last potty. And then she puts on her mask and socks. Then goes to sleep with me. Sometimes she wakes up to go to the bathroom during the middle of the night, but then she heads back to sleep, as usual. Now for her morning routine. She wakes up literally at 6 a.m. in the morning to get ready for school. She normally has breakfast around 6:30 to 6:40. Then she brushes her teeth, then she bathes up. Then she puts on her clothes and gets all the things ready for school. Then she hops outside into the car and then she's off to school. A new AC is getting installed at school tomorrow. I hope we get to see it run. That way Glorm Gang can get a real footage. It's called a train odyssey, as some people will call it. It's like her mom's van, which is red. Glorm Gang always goes through periods 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of the classes. Sometimes she does work that is meant to be done at home. Sometimes she has lunch during the day of 10:54 or 11:24. After she ate her lunch, she always goes outside. Sometimes she catches lizards. Perhaps lizards are funny. Let's get on with the story. Sleepy Prince Fear goes to sleep. Number 1. Once upon a time, deep inside Riley's mind, the kingdom of emotions was winding down for the night. Anyways, we're heading back to reading. The starry sky glimmered with memories and thoughts drifting into the archives. Joy, sadness, anger, and disgust all settled into their cozy beds in the control center, each tucked in with their favorite things. But there was one emotion who wasn't quite ready to let go of the day: fear. Prince Fear had always been extra cautious. He spends his nights worrying about nightmares, about dark corners in Riley's mind, and the things that might go wrong the next day. Even though the night was quiet, he couldn't stop thinking. His eyes widened as he lay in bed, imagining every possible danger that could creep into Riley's dreams. "I can't sleep," Fear whispered into the dimly lit room, clinging to his blanket, his face filled with worry. Just then, Princess Sleepy the Narwhal, a dreamlike figure dressed in a nightcap, floated into the room. Sleepy resembled a gentle, calming force, like the soothing breeze before drifting into a deep, restful slumber. In her arms, she carried a small teddy bear, just like the one Fear often clutched in moments of stress. "Fear, you're still awake?" Sleepy's voice was soft like a lullaby in the distance. "Of course I am," Fear shivered, holding the blanket closer. What if Riley's dreams of falling from a cliff? What if Riley dreams of falling from a cliff? Or what if she wakes up in the middle of the night and needs me? Or Or what if there's a monster under the bed? Sleepy floated closer, her calm presence filling the room with warmth. She sat beside Fear, patting his hand. There are no monsters, Fear, she said, her voice filled with assurance. And even if there were, you're always ready to protect Riley. But even the bravest needs need their rest. Fear blinked, unsure of how to respond. But but what if something bad happens while I'm asleep? Sleepy smiled and handed Fear the teddy bear she carried. It was soft with a gentle smile stitched on its face. This bear will keep watch while you sleep, she said. You've been watching over Riley all day, but now it's time to let your mind rest. Fear hesitated, looking into the bear's eyes. Its soft, comforting presence calmed his racing thoughts. Slowly, he hugged it close, feeling a little more at ease. But what if... Oh, I still can't sleep? Fear asked, yawning slightly. Sleepy smiled again. Then I'll tell you a bedtime story, she whispered about a prince who learned that even in sleep he was safe. Fear snuggled under his blanket, finally starting to relax. As Sleepy's story filled the room, his eyelids grew heavier. His worries started drifting away like clouds passing over the moon. And in his dreams, Sleepy finished, the prince found peace, knowing that when he woke, he would be ready for whatever the day brought. And so he slept deeply and calmly. Fear's eyes closed, and the control center grew silent. Sleepy tucked the blanket a little tighter around him, her work done. With a gentle wave, she floated out of the room, leaving Fear to dream without a care in the world. And for that night, for the first time in a long while, Prince Fear slept soundly, knowing that sometimes letting go was the safest thing of all. Oh, you're gonna like that one. I've met my father for the very first time on Christmas, and he had a glowworm. Boy, he doesn't like the cold because he's been shivering last night. Oh, no way. But luckily I get to meet him on Christmas along with my brothers. Poor thing, one of my brothers is tattered. Don't worry, he'll be sent off and come back at the same day. That way he wouldn't have to spend the night. Otherwise I might worry about him. Well, let's get back on. Sleepy Prince Fear meets his father, King Paranoia. If you don't know what paranoia is is a feeling that is heavily influenced by anxiety, suspicion, or fear. Oh, ho, 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 ho. That sounds like the extreme, deepest fear ever. Let's get back with the story. One time, in the far reaches of Riley's mind, beyond the isles of personality and deep within the subconscious, a small kingdom thrived. This was the sleepy kingdom of Emotionia, ruled by none other than Prince Fear himself. Every night as Riley drifted into sleep, Prince Fear stood vigilant, ensuring that her worries and anxieties were carefully managed. But one fateful night, as the world beyond the control center began to blur into dream, the sleepy prince encountered a presence that shook him to his core. Prince Fear had just tucked himself into bed, snuggled up with his loyal stuffed bear, when the floor beneath him began to tremble. A deep rumbling echoed through the room, and the once peaceful glow of his kingdom turned into a swirling mist of shadows and lightning. Fear's eyes snapped open wide, heart pounding in his chest. This wasn't any ordinary fear. This was something far greater. Suddenly, a tall, imposing figure appeared before him, cloaked in deep purple and black, with swirling eyes of paranoia and jagged zigzags of lightning surround him. This figure was none other than King Paranoia, ruler of all irrational fears. Well, in fact, my father is a sleepy king too, and he used to be a sleepy prince when he was a boy. Man, I really love my father, but sometimes he goes a little bit crazy. Hello, my son. The king's voice boomed, carrying an edge of beyond command and eerie comfort. Prince Fear froze. His lips trembled and his mouth was agape. He heard of his father, the mighty King Paranoia, who governed fears that weren't rooted in reason. The fears that made Riley feel scared without any clear explanation, but Prince Fear had never actually met him. Father? Prince Fear stammered, stepping back in his slippers. King Paranoia let out a low chuckle, his form looming larger. Yes, my dear boy, you've grown well in your duty, keeping Riley cautious and safe. But there is a part of fear you've never embraced, a deep layer that lies just beyond rational thought. That's where I rule. As the king spoke, images flashed in the air around him. A creaking door with no one behind it, shadows that stretched too long across the room, the sensation of being watched even when alone. These were the fears that Paranoia commanded, a kingdom built on uncertainty and doubt. But, but I protect Riley, Prince Fear cried out, gripping his blanket tight as if it were a shield. I keep her safe by reminding her of things that might go wrong. And you do a fine job, King Paranoia said, his smile twisting with pride. But you've been too soft lately. Sleepy even. You let her relax too much. And a little dose of paranoia now and then could keep her even more prepared, more alert. Fear shook his teddy bear, gripping his teddy bear tighter. But Riley needs to rest too. If she's always scared, she'll never be happy. She'll never enjoy the things she loves. King Paranoia's eyes narrowed. Happiness. He spat the word as if tasted bitter. Happiness is fleeting, boy, but fear lingers. It's always there, even when she doesn't see it. With a wave of his hand, the king summoned more swirling images, this time showing Riley in her waking world, hesitating to talk to a new friend, holding back from an exciting adventure, all because of that undercurrent of worry, those subtle, nameless fears planted by paranoia. Prince Fear watched in horror. He didn't want Riley to live like that, trapped in a cage of what-ifs and maybes. Sure, a little fear was healthy, but too much would smother her joy, her curiosity, her love for life. And so, every ounce of bravery he had wasn't that much. Prince Fear stepped forward. Yeah, sometimes my dad gets too powerful. Almost kings are more powerful than princes. Like, how can a royal prince be less powerful? I am more powerful because I release my demon form when angry. No! He declared, surprising even himself. I may be sleepy, but I'm not going to let you rule Riley. I'll protect her from the things she really needs to be careful about. But I won't let your irrational fears take over. Man, my father can sometimes be a little antagonistic sometimes. Sometimes he needs a glowworm. He needs a glowworm companion to have him not become too antagonistic. Otherwise he would have Yep, he needs to control his evil doings. He releases his demon form too, but more sinister and dark. All right, let's bring fun back over, because we don't want things to get dark. King Paranoia's laughter echoed like thunder in the small kingdom. You think you can stand against me, boy? I am the source of all her deepest anxieties, but you are but a fraction of my power. For a moment, Prince Fear faltered. How could he possibly face down his own father? A towering embodiment of all the things Riley couldn't control. But then he remembered something. Riley's other emotions, joy, sadness, disgust, anger, they all worked together, balancing out the chaos of emotions in her life. Fear didn't have to handle this alone. I might not be powerful as you, Fear said, his voice trembling but firm. But I have friends who help Riley every day. Together we can protect her in ways you never could. She doesn't need consistent fear. She needs balance. For a moment, the mist surrounding King Paranoia seemed to hesitate. His jagged form flickered as if unaware how to respond. Then, with a final rumble, the king began to retreat into the shadows. You may have won tonight, son, Paranoia's voice echoed, fading into the distance, but remember, I am always here, waiting. And with that, the storm in the kingdom subsided, leaving Prince Fear standing alone in his quiet, darkened room, clutching his teddy bear. His father was gone, but the warning lingered in the air. Fear knew he had to be more vigilant than ever, not just to protect Riley from outside dangers, but to keep the darker, irrational fears at bay. With a deep sigh, Prince Fear climbed back into bed. Pulling his blanket up to his chin as he drifted off, he smiled faintly, knowing that no matter how sleepy he might get, he wasn't alone in protecting Riley. And so the kingdom of fear returned to peace. At least for now. Man, my father's gone insane. Who knew he would be this antagonistic? But he's not really that antagonistic, but he can quite get very antagonistic. But that's okay. It was another quiet evening in the mind, where all the emotions lived. Wait a minute, I forgot to read the title. Oh man. Sleepy Prince Fear's Bedtime Routine. It was another quiet evening in the mind, where all of the emotions lived. The stars above twinkled softly, and the comforting hum of nighttime settled over headquarters. But for Sleepy Prince Fear, bedtime wasn't quite as easy as it was for some. Where's my pillow? Fear muttered, scanning the room with wide, anxious eyes. He spotted for his soft stuffed pillow floating gently across the room, as if daring to chase it. Sleepy Prince Fear sighed. Of course it's floating again. Carefully, he tiptoed toward the rebellious pillow, wary of the shadows that danced on the walls. Even the safety of his cozy room, every flicker of light seemed to hide everything just out of sight. After all, Fear's job was to keep everything safe, especially at night. But Sleepy Prince Fear wasn't just any emotion. He was always thinking ahead, always preparing for what could happen. Once he finally snatched the pillow from midair, he hugged it close like a lifeline. Got you, he whispered triumphantly. Next on his list was his favorite teddy bear. It was brown, soft, and very squishy, with eyes that always seemed to understand his worries. Holding the bear, Sleepy Prince Fear glanced at the nearby nightstand where his flashlight sat. He grabbed it, flicking the switch on, off, and off, on, off, on, off. just to make sure it still worked, of course. You never know when the power might go out, he murmured to his bear, nodding sagely. His flashlight was more than just a tool. It was his defense against the unknown lurking in the dark. With his bear in one arm and the trusty flashlight in the other, Fear shuffled to his bed. He stood there staring at the cozy sheets and plump pillows. But something still nagged him. His bedtime routine wasn't complete. A thought struck him, the closet. He spun around, eyes wide, and took a few steps toward the door. Slowly, cautiously, he peeked inside. Just clothes. Nothing spooky, but Sleepy Prince Fear was thorough. He knew better than to assume things were safe on the first glance. Clicking on his flashlight, he did a quick sweep. Nothing here, he said to himself in a whisper, but still managed to sound unsure. Just clothes. He flickered off the light inside, a small smile creeping across his face. With his checks complete, Sleepy Prince Fear climbed into bed, his tiny frame snuggled into the soft warmth of the blanket, his teddy bear clutched tightly, and his flashlight resting by his side, ready to be used at the moment's notice. As his eyelids grew heavy, Sleepy Prince Fear thought about all the things he had double-checked: the floating pillow, his trusty bear, the flashlight, and even the closet. Everything was where it should be, and his routine had been followed to the letter. Finally, Sleepy Prince Fear's breathing slowed, his muscles relaxed, and his mind began to drift. Just as sleep was about to claim him, he heard a soft, friendly voice in his dream. It was Joy. "You did a great job today, Fear," she said with a gentle laugh. "Rest easy. Everything is going to be just fine." And with that, Sleepy Prince Fear smiled to himself, knowing that for tonight, at least the mind was safe, and he could sleep soundly until tomorrow's routine. Wasn't that a great story? Well, we've got some more to do. Let's take a little moment of breakdown. You know I sleep with my teddy bear. My teddy bear is Lavender. I usually take him everywhere. I take him on trips, on sleepovers, and many, many, many more. All of us emotions, we are in headquarters, and there are many things to do. So let's take a look at what's going on YouTube first. Fear, what are you doing here? I'm just heading into Glormgang's channel. Oh, okay. Look at all this. Look at all this content. Even some of my Fear's World episodes. Look at everything. She even filmed everywhere, even at the school. That's a lot of videos to be planned for today. That's just a lot. Alright, it's time to get moving. Let's keep moving with the stories. I know this video may be long. Sleepy Prince Fear folds his favorite blanket and uses it as a pillow. Oh, I like to do that. I like to do that all the time because I fold my blanket and put it as a pillow. Glormgang does that too with her Inside Out 2 blanket, which is a smaller one. Yeah, she folds it and she places it on her bed over the pillow, so she wouldn't have to have her head feeling a headache. Sleepy Prince Fear folds his favorite blanket and uses it as a pillow. And remember, we're in Riley's mind. In the quiet realm of the mind where emotions live in their little glowing headquarters, one emotion never felt quite as arrested as the others. Fear, you see, while joy would bounce from memory to memory and sadness would slowly drag herself along. Fear always had his eyes wide open, constantly on guard for the next disaster. But tonight things were different. Sleepy Prince Fear, as he liked to call himself, wore a special nightcap. Well, my night hat is what I wear over my hair, which kind of looks like Santa's hat. Shuffle, Shuffled around his small, dimly lit room. A soft, gentle glow came from the tiny green nightlight shaped like a star that sat by his bed. It was the only source of comfort for someone always ready for the worst. Tonight, though he wasn't looking for monsters under the bed or imagining the ceiling collapsing. No, tonight he was on a mission to fold his favorite blanket perfectly so that he could use it as a pillow. Ooh, my blankie. That would be just great. Oh, with a yawn that stretched his entire body, Sleepy Prince Fear tugged at the corners of the light blue blanket, the one that had been with him for ages. The blanket had a reassuring smell, something between safety and warmth, and Fear adored it. As he carefully folded the first edge, his hand trembled a bit, not out of fear, but out of exhaustion. The long hours of worrying about future catastrophes had drained him, and his eyelids drooped as he worked. Okay, just a little bit more, Fear whispered to himself, folding the second side of the blanket. His string-like purple hair create lightning bolt and curly shapes over his head, but he barely noticed. He was too focused on making sure each fold was perfect, neat, and secure. Finally, with the blanket folded into a perfect cozy square, Pierre gave a small satisfied smile. "This will keep me safe tonight," he muttered. As though the soft fabric could shield him from his endless worries, he placed the folded light blue blanket onto his bed and clumsily collapsed onto it, pulling another blanket over himself. As he settled down, he clutched the edges of the pillow tight. The star-shaped nightlight glowed softly, casting shadows that danced around his room. But for once, Fear didn't mind. The folded blanket felt secure beneath his head, and his favorite blanket, folded so carefully, seemed to absorb some of his worry. His eyes fluttered close, and for the first time in what felt like forever, Sleepy Prince Fear was ready to drift into a dream, hopefully one without any disasters. He hugged the folded blanket tighter, and as sleep finally came, his dreams were not filled with anxieties, but with soft, gentle clouds and quiet, peaceful moments. Fear would worry again tomorrow, but tonight, wrapped up in his carefully folded blanket, he could rest. Before Glowworm Gang could continue on on the stories, she'll have to go to the bathroom. She'll be back later. looks like she's back. Looks like she grabbed a little bit of a drink of some caffeine, and she'll have some later. Well, it's time to do one of my favorites. It's actually based on the Disney movie Sleeping Beauty. But the Once Upon a Dream is basically from the song. But it's a story, not a poem or a song. Now, let's get reading. Sleepy Prince Fear's Once Upon a Dream. Once upon a time, deep within the mysterious realms of Riley's mind, there existed a secret kingdom, Emotionia, ruled by Sleepy Prince Fear. He wasn't like the other fears in the land. He was always sleepy, preferring the comfort of a dream-filled slumber rather than running the usual panic scenarios of everyday life. Instead of being terrified of every little thing, Sleepy Prince Fear's job was to ensure that Riley's sleep was filled with dreams, calming and surreal where nothing could harm her. One night, while Prince Fear snuggled deep within his cozy blanket fort, his favorite stuffed bear clutched tightly in his arms, he found himself pulled into an unusual dream. This dream was unlike any he entered before. It was filled with shadowy figures and long, winding corridors that seemed to stretch endlessly. The dream felt off, as though it were stuck between a nightmare and a beautiful story. "Where am I?" Fear mumbled to himself, rubbing his tired eyes. He stepped out into the fog, cautiously venturing forward. Despite his unsettling feeling in the air, Prince Fear knew he had a role to play, protecting Riley from whatever lay ahead. As he wandered further, a glimmer of light appeared in the distance, and a soft lullaby echoed through the dreamscape. It was calming but haunting at the same time. Fear knew this dream needed balance. It could either become serene fantasy or fall into a realm of nightmares. He had to steer it in the right direction. Suddenly, from the shadows, a creature emerged, a towering figure with swirling dark smoke for eyes. It was the nightmare monster, the type that Riley had faced many times in her childhood. Fear instinct told him to hide, but something was different this time. He wasn't a prince in a dream. He was the ruler of it. With a deep breath, Fear stood his ground. "I see you," Fear said quietly but firmly. "But this is not your place." The nightmare creature hesitated, taken aback by Fear's sudden confidence. He had never been the brave type before, always fleeing from danger. But Sleepy Prince Fear had learned from all his years of protecting Riley that some dreams needed courage, even in their most vulnerable moments. The creature's form began to fade, and the dark fog lifted. In its place, the dream transformed into something magnificent: golden fields of flowers, floating castles, and soft streams that twinkled under the moonlight. The lullaby became gentle and peaceful. Fear smiled, feeling the warmth of the dream rush over him. He wasn't afraid anymore. "This is how it should be," he said, looking around at the transformed dreamscape, "a place where Riley can feel safe and at peace." As the dream slowly began to close, and Fear felt himself drifting back into the comfort of his bed, he knew that even though he was the Prince of Fear, he could also be the guardian of dreams. Sometimes the greatest fears could be faced by finding peace within them. And so Sleepy Prince Fear fell into a restful sleep, knowing that Riley's dreams would be safe tonight. Wow, that was a great story. Well, it's time for a bit of a break. Let's take a look. These Endermen are silly. That one looks like it's funny. It's funny when an Enderman with the mouth open wide. They look like a hippopotamus. Sorry about the TV in the background. I hope Gorm Gang doesn't get copyrighted. The following videos have been censored due to copyright claims. Whew. Looks like we're back to the reading zone. Who doesn't need a nap? I need a nap. This is Sleepy Prince Fear needs a nap. In the vibrant land of Emotionia, where emotions came to life, there was a castle nestled among the clouds, home to the Sleepy Prince Fear. Oopsie. He was a unique emotion, often misunderstood. While other emotions like joy and anger burst with energy, fear found comfort in quiet moments and long naps. One sunny day, the emotions gathered to prepare for the grand annual festival of feelings. Joy was busy painting banners with bright colors. Sadness was crafting heartfelt messages. And anger was directing everyone to work faster. Fear, however, felt overwhelmed. The excitement in the air made his heart race, and he knew he needed to recharge. Maybe just a quick nap, he thought to himself. Just a little shut-eye to gather my strength for the festival. As he slipped away to his cozy little room filled with fluffy pillows and soft blankets, he nestled into his favorite spot. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. Just as he began to drift off, he was jolted awake by a loud crash outside. Fear, you need to come help us. It was Joy. Her voice tinged with urgency. With a heavy sigh, Fear reluctantly got up and went outside. Excuse me about the coughing. The courtyard was in chaos. Anger had accidentally knocked over the decorations, and sadness was trying to console a worried group of emotions. Maybe we can fix this together, Fear suggested, though his voice was soft. Anger, frustrated, yelled, "Why can't you just be more like Joy and get excited about this? We need you to help us." Feeling even more anxious, his heart raced. "I'm trying, but I just need a moment to think." He glanced at the tangled mess of ribbons and balloons. "What if we organize it? We can sort everything out one piece at a time." As he spoke, Joy's face brightened. "That's a great idea, Fear. Let's work together. Everyone can sort." With Fear's calming presence, the emotions rallied together. Joy bounced around, encouraging everyone, while sadness offered gentle suggestions. Anger helped with the heavy lifting, and soon even the decorations began to take shape again. But as the sun began to set, Fear felt his eyelids droop once more. "I really need a nap now," he admitted, yawning widely. "I can help," Joy exclaimed. "How about a nap party? We can all take a break together and come back to finish getting ready for the festival." The other emotions loved the idea. They found a sunny patch of grass near the castle, where they sprawled out, sharing stories and laughter. Fear felt a wave of warmth wash over him. It was comforting to know that he didn't have to be the loudest or the most energetic. He could just be himself. As he finally closed his eyes, Fear drifted into a peaceful sleep surrounded by his friends. He dreamed of soft clouds and gentle breezes, knowing that it was okay to take time for himself. When he awoke, the festival of feelings was full swing. Joy was dancing, anger was laughing, and even sadness had a smile on her face. Fear felt refreshed and ready to join in, knowing that his unique qualities were just as important to the others. "Thanks for the nap party, everyone," he said, grinning. "I needed that." And together they celebrated, each emotion shining in their own special way, proving that sometimes even the sleepy Prince Fear just needed a little rest to be at his best. Well, who's up for a sequel? Sleepy Prince Fear Goes to Sleep 2. Maybe a trilogy would happen, but I don't know when. In the sleepy kingdom of Emotionia, a new ruler has emerged. Draped in royal pajamas, adorned with stars and moons, Sleepy Prince Fear shuffled through the dark, winding halls of the Mind Palace. He wore a magnificent crown with the word Sleepy engraved with glowing stars. In the faint light of which barely kept him awake. I do wear a crown because I do have myself in a royally adorable manner. In the odd light to see in such attire, for he had always been known as the jittery guardian of Riley's caution. Excuse me again. But things had changed. A new mission was at hand, one that required Fear's utmost courage to embrace the unknown realm of sleep. Fear wasn't always comfortable with sleep. After a while, where the nightmares lived, lurking in the shadows, waiting to pounce. But tonight, as Sleepy Prince Fear, he was determined to conquer those anxieties. He was not alone in this quest. Armed with a bow tie of bravery and his royal robe of resilience, he took a deep breath. "Tonight, we face what lies beyond the waking world," he murmured to himself, feeling the weight of the mission. As he made his way to the sleep castle, he was greeted by Dreamweaver Joy and Guardian Sadness. They were his trusted advisors for this delicate journey. Dreamweaver Joy held a golden wand, ready to create the most enchanting dreams, while Guardian Sadness carried a soft blanket, ensuring that if things became overwhelming, they could slow down and rest. "Are you ready, Your Highness?" Dreamweaver Joy asked with a smile. Sleepy Prince Fear nodded, though his knees wobbled a bit. "As ready as I'll ever be. Let's do this!" Together they approached the towering star-speckled gates of Sleep Castle. Inside, a giant glowing moon rested at the center of the tranquil lake. His reflection shimmering across the calm waters. The air was filling with the soothing sound of lullabies, and the stars above twinkled like tiny comforting eyes watching over them. But just as they were about to cross the bridge into the castle, a dark cloud loomed overhead. It was the Nightmare Dragon. A creature of Fear's own creation, formed from his deepest anxieties and worries. It roared, shaking the very foundation of the sleep castle, and Sleepy Prince Fear stumbled backward. "This is it," he thought. "This is where I fail." Guardian Sadness stepped forward, draping the blanket of calm over Sleepy Prince Fear. "It's okay to be scared, Your Highness," she whispered. "But remember, you're not alone." Dreamweaver Joy swung her wand, and beams of light shot out, painting colorful, joyful images in the sky. Scenes of Riley's happiest memories flickered like a film reel. Her family, her friends, all the things that made her heart sing. Taking a deep breath, Sleepy Prince Fear stood up. "I may be afraid," he declared, his voice echoing across the lake. But I'm not going to let fear stop me. I am Sleepy Prince Fear, and I will cross this bridge. With each step he took, the nightmare's dragon's roars softened, and the dark clouds began to dissipate. As Sleepy Prince Fear reached the other side, the dragon let out a final gentle puff of smoke and vanished into the night sky. Inside the sleep castle, Sleepy Prince Fear climbed into a giant cushioned bed, surrounded by stars and soft moonlight. Dreamweaver Joy waved her wand one last time, filling the room with beautiful, serene dreams. Guardian Sadness tucked him in with the blanket, her presence a comforting weight. As Sleepy Prince Fear closed his eyes, a sense of peace washed over him. For the first time, he felt safe, knowing that there were challenges in the night. He could face them with courage and the help of his friends. Sweet dreams, Your Highness, Dreamweaver Joy whispered as she and Guardian Sadness quietly left the room. Sleepy Prince Fear let out a contented sigh. With a smile on his face, he drifted into the deepest, most peaceful sleep he'd ever known. Well, well, well. Welcome to the Mindful Zone. Because my father and I, we all heard of mindfulness, right? Mindfulness is how we slow down and pay attention to our feelings. Did you remember that scene where we saw where Glom Yang was at the movie theater and she watched our movie Inside Out 2? She saw Riley having a panic attack. Oh, an anxiety attack doesn't sound good during hockey, especially during hockey. Oh man, that sounds terrible. Her breathing was heavy, her heart racing, and her skin felt hot to touch. It was Princess Anxiety causing all this mess, and a new sense of self, I'm not good enough, is spiraling across her mind. Oh, luckily we came back in time, and Joy placed the sense of self right back on. However, she took it off, knowing that the sense of self keeps changing. But we did what we did. In an adorable way, like I did. We all hugged towards the sense of self. Oh, a warming bear hug. Even I had tears in my eyes, and letting the magic tears flow on to the sense of self. Oh, I look so cute when I have a bear hug, or a nerve hug, they say. That's just one thing I would ever do for my rest of my life. Now we're doing it every Valentine's Day. Isn't that just adorable? Just simply adorable? Now, let's get into the mindful zone. Let's get rolling. Sleepy Prince Fear's father, King Paranoia, teaches him mindfulness breathing to help him sleep. You know how mindfulness works. We have the meditation mouse within here. So let me show you. The meditation mouse often teaches kids mindfulness in even all characters. So this is what she has. She has tons and tons of surprises. And these are the relaxation modes. If you can't see them, she's off. She's off currently. She has daytime meditation, nighttime meditation, and soothing sounds. She even has soothing sounds to choose from. Ocean waves, nature, fan or industrial ceiling fan, air handler or whatever, and music. Each of them go through a 3-song cycle. She even has a breathing exercise mode for nighttime meditation. Oh, wow. I would do such things. Well, it's time to continue on mindfulness. Let's get rolling. Sleepy Prince Fear's father, King Paranoia, teaches him mindfulness breathing to help him sleep. In the kingdom of Emotionia, inside Riley's mind, far beyond the towering forests of emotions and the rivers of memories, there stood a castle made of shadows and midnight blue. This was the realm of Sleepy Prince Fear, a figure as gentle as the evening breeze, but often kept awake by the stormy thoughts that tumbled like restless thunderclouds through his head. Sleepy Prince Fear, though beloved by all in his kingdom, had one great struggle falling asleep. No matter how hard he tried to quiet his thoughts, they raced around his mind like wild stallions. Every time he would close his eyes, the worries of the day, small and large, would keep him awake. What if something bad happens while I'm asleep? He often wondered. What if I dream of things that make me afraid? One evening, after another sleepless night, his father, King Paranoia, noticed the prince's tired eyes and frazzled nerves. The king, who ruled over the land of worry and suspicion, was an expert at keeping everything and everyone in check. But he knew something, that even its significant vigilance couldn't help his son find peace when it was time to sleep. "Son," said King Paranoia, sitting beside the prince on the edge of his bed, "I can see you are struggling again. You're inherited by a part of me, the part that's always watchful, always on edge, but I've learned over time that there is a way to calm those thoughts, at least for a little while." Prince Fear looked up at his father, curiosity flickering in his tired eyes. "How, father? My mind never stops. It keeps thinking of all of the things that could go wrong. King Paranoia gave a small knowing smile. "I used to be the same way. I used to lie awake in the dark, waiting for every possible danger. But then I learned something very powerful. Mindfulness breathing." Prince Fear tilts his head. "Mindfulness breathing? How can breathing help?" "Let me show you," King Paranoia said, gently taking his son's hand. He guided through to sit up straight, with his feet resting on the cool stone floor and his back supported by the soft pillows. "First, close your eyes." Sleepy Prince Fear hesitated, but his father's reassuring presence helped him relax enough to obey. "Ooh, here comes my favorite part. Now breathe in through your nose," King Paranoia instructed. "Feel the air fill your lungs. Focus only on that breath. Nothing else matters right now." Prince Fear took a deep breath, filling his chest with the cool air. As he did, his father's calm voice anchored him to the present moment. "Hold it for just a moment. Feel the stillness." The prince paused, holding the air within, and for that brief moment, his racing thoughts seemed to quiet down. "Now slowly breathe out through your mouth. Let go of any tension as you exhale." Sleep. Prince Fear let the breath flow out, and as he did, he felt something unexpected, a small but comforting sense of calm. "Good," said the king. "Now do it again. Breathe in, hold, and breathe out. Let every exhale carry your worries away one by one." That, that seems to be similar breathing technique that I knew. It's triangle breathing. They repeated the process, and with each breath, Prince Fear felt his body grow lighter, as if the heavy cloak of anxious thoughts was slipping off his shoulders. His eyes began to droop, and the tension in his muscles melted away. As they continued, King Paranoia King Paranoia's voice became softer. When we focus on our breath, we remind our minds that we are safe right here, right now. There is nothing to fear in this moment. Prince Fear nodded slightly, his body swaying gently with the rhythm of his breaths. Now, the king whispered, as you breathe, imagine a soft, warm light filling your body with each inhale. Let it glow brighter and brighter, protecting you from any worries. And with every exhale, let go any thoughts that trouble you. Prince Fear followed his father's guidance, imagining a golden light beside him, expanding with each breath. As the light grew, the shadows in his mind faded, leaving only peace and warmth. Soon his breaths became slower, deeper, and more natural. The weight of his fears seemed to soften, and for the first time in many nights, his mind felt still. King Paranoia watched as the son's head gently sank into the pillow. His body finally at ease, he smiled, knowing that the prince had found a new tool to keep him manage the constant whirlwind of fears that often kept him awake. Sleep well, my son, the king whispered, rising quietly from the bed. When the storms come again, remember your breath. It will always guide you back to calm. And so the kingdom of the mind, sleepy Prince Fear, found solace in the simple power of his breath, knowing that no matter how fierce his worries might seem, he could always find peace by returning to the present moment. Boy, what a long video we're heading through. Well, there's a few stories later. Well, my father is knowing the God moments. We're going to head into now. Mindfulness is over. Now let's move on to the godly. You've heard right. Godly praying time. For those who are religious, we have a religious belief too. Hypnos was actually the god of sleep. Well, you can believe in any god you want. We believe in Hypnos and Algia. Hypnos is the god of sleep, and Algia was the god of tears. Well, we've got more. Let's get on to the reading zone. In the kingdom of Emotionia, where tranquility was as cherished as gold, there lived a gentle soul known as Sleepy Prince Fear. Unlike his name, Sleepy Prince Fear was beloved for his kindness and the way he always seemed to be in a state of dreamy relaxation. However, there was one thing that troubled him deeply. He could never get a full peaceful night's sleep. Prince Fear's father, King Paranoia, was the ruler who worried incessantly about the smallest things, often pacing the castle halls at night, plagued by sleeplessness. On moonlit evening, after another restless night, King Paranoia approached his son with a plan that could bring solace to both of them. Fear, King Paranoia said, his voice trembling with concern. I have heard that a powerful deity who governs the realm of dreams and sleep. His name is Hypnos, and he is said to grant rest to those who seek it with true sincerity. Together, the prince and the king decided to pray to Hypnos, hoping he could bestow upon the peaceful slumber they so desperately needed. They prepared a sacred ritual, decorating the grand hall with soft moonflowers and lit candles. And began their heartfelt plea. Great Hypnos, god of sleep, began King Paranoia, his voice echoing softly in the hall. We humbly ask for your divine intervention. My son, Prince Fear, and I seek your aid to grant us the deep, restful sleep we long for." As their prayers floated into the night air, a gentle breeze swept through the castle, and the room grew warm with a calming glow. Hypnos, who had been observing their earnest request, appeared in a dreamlike form, a figure draped in flowing robes, with eyes as tranquil as a serene lake. "Fear not, dear souls," Hypnos spoke softly, his voice like a lullaby. "For your hearts are pure and your desires are sincere. I shall grant you the restful sleep you seek." With a wave of his hand, Hypnos enveloped the castle in a soothing aura. That night, as the prince and the king lay down in their beds, they found a profound sense of peace wash over them. For the first time in many moons, sleepy Prince Fear slept soundly, while King Paranoia experienced a deep, uninterrupted rest. In the days that followed, both the prince and the king found their spirits uplifted. The kingdom of Emotionia flourished with renewed energy, and the bond between father and son grew even stronger, fulfilled by the divine gift of sleep they had ever received. So in the heart of Emotionia, the story of Sleepy Prince Fear and father, King Paranoia, became a cherished legend, a testament to the power of prayer, the kindness of Hypnos, and the everlasting value of a peaceful night's sleep. Well, it's time to let things to go down. You know how I am born with magic tears, right? I cry so much because that's why I release them. Let me show you what I look like. This is me when I was a baby. I was only 6 months, and I became a sleepy prince right around 6 months. And the two gods have created me to have me born with magic tears and me as a sleepy prince. Man, do I look so cute. And my little brother Melancholy is the same thing, but he's in a darker bluish color. And my first Pokemon was Sabo, and yet I do cry a lot. But my soothing cry is just taken from me. And all I can do is let it flow. Yeah, most people call me Fear Junior. Wow, we've gone a lot recently. We have hit the whole full hour. Well, it's time to get to the tear zone. Sleepy Prince Fear's magic tears of sleep help him sleep deeply and peacefully without crying. I know I can release magic tears even when I'm not crying. Once upon a time in Emotionia, there lived a young prince named Fear, who ruled a castle made entirely of mist and moonbeams. But unlike most princes, Fear was not brave and bold. He was always worried, anxious about the smallest things. His greatest fear of all, though, was the dark. Yeah, that's why I have many night lights, because that's why I get scared of the dark sometimes. Most kids do. That includes me. When night fell, the sky full of twinkling stars would send shivers down his spine. Ooh, I do get scared of many things. He could never sleep without his mind swirling with thoughts of shadows, monsters, and endless unknowns. Fear tried everything to find peace at night. He asked his court wizards to cast spells. He drank warm milk and even had his bed surrounded by soft glowing lights. But nothing worked. His sleepless nights were long and full of tossing and turning. Every morning, the once strong and hopeful prince would wake with tears in his eyes, wishing he could just rest without fear. One evening, as the moon hung especially low and bright, Fear's trusted companion, Princess Sleepy the Narwhal, floated into his chamber. "Prince Fear," she said in her gentle voice, "I believe it's time for you to find your own magic." "But how?" Fear asked, his voice trembling. Everything I've tried has failed. The dark always finds me." Princess Sleepy smiled warmly. "You see, dear Fear, your tears hold a power you haven't yet discovered. Your tears are not just sadness or worry, they carry magic. The kind of magic that can turn fear into peace. But to unlock it, you must believe that your fears are part of you, and they can be transformed into something beautiful." Fear, unsure what to think, could his tears really be magical? That night, with Sleepy by his side, Fear sat on the edge of his bed and let the quiet fill the room. As the shadows deepened, his chest tightened and his eyes filled with tears. He thought of every fear, the monsters under his bed, the vast unknown, and all the things he couldn't control. Slowly, his tears began to flow, sparkling like crystals in the moonlight. Princess Sleepy watched as the first tear dropped onto his pillow. As it soaked into the fabric, something extraordinary happened. The tears shimmered and spread, casting a soft glow around the room. The light wasn't harsh like the lamps he had used before. It was gentle, calming, like a warm hug in the middle of the night. It whispered to Fear, reminding him that while the dark could be scary, it was also a gateway to dreams, imagination, and wonder. More tears followed, each one landing softly and lighting up the room with a peaceful silvery glow. The shadows on the walls softened, and the monsters under the bed dissolved into harmless wisps of fog. With each tear that fell, the knot of fear in his chest loosened, with a deep, comforting sleep began to wrap around him like a cozy blanket. Before long, Prince Fear drifted into the deepest, most peaceful sleep he had ever known for. His mind was free of the worries that kept him awake for long, and instead he dreamed of floating through the stars with Princess Sleepy by his side, exploring the vast universe without a single fear. When he woke the next morning, the sunlight streamed through his window, and the first time in as long as he could remember, he didn't feel the weight of the night on his shoulders. His pillow, where the magic tears had fallen, still glowed faintly, a reminder of the power he now held. From that day forward, whenever Fear felt overwhelmed by the dark, he would let the magic tears fall, knowing that they would transform his fear into peace. And so Prince Fear became known not as a rule of worry, but as the sleepy prince who found peace in the quiet of the night. His magic tears were not only helped him, but all of the creatures of the dream realm, who slept peacefully, knowing that the Prince of Sleep was watching over him with his gentle, glowing magic. And thus Prince Fear slept deeply and soundly, without crying, every night thereafter. Well, we're almost there. In the heart of the sleepy Prince, Fear goes to bed. In the heart of the sleepy kingdom of Emotionia, tucked away in a cozy corner of the Mind Palace, lived a very special prince named Fear. He was not like the other emotions who always seemed ready for action. Excuse me again. Joy with her boundless energy, anger with his fiery strength, or sadness with her quiet wisdom. Fear, however, was a little different. He liked things calm and predictable, and tonight was no exception. It was bedtime, and bedtime was his favorite time because it was a time for everything to slow down. But tonight, every excuse me, some but tonight something was bothering Prince Fear. As he sat in his cozy blanket fort, surrounded by pillows shaped like clouds, he looked out at the setting sun, casting long shadows over the palace walls. Those shadows started to look like a little too big for his liking. His usual whispers of the night seemed louder, and the gentle creaking of the Mind Palace felt eerie. He knew it was bedtime, but something inside him felt uneasy. What if tonight was different? What if the shadows weren't just shadows? Fear stood up, wrapping his blanket around himself like a royal robe, and went to check on the rest of the emotions. Maybe they would know what to do. First, he peeked into Joy's room, where she was getting ready for bed too. She was laughing softly, playing with her nightlight that created stars on the ceiling. "Hi, Fear," said brightly. "What's up? Aren't you getting ready for bed?" Fear shifted on his feet. I don't know. The shadows seem bigger tonight, and the sounds. What if something's there?" Joy smiled kindly. "Oh, those shadows, they're just the trees swaying outside. Are those sound and those sounds probably the wind, and if it makes you feel better, you can have my nightlight." Fear shook his head. I think I just need to make sure everything is safe." Next, he went into Anger's room. Anger was already snuggled under the blanket, his nightcap pulled down over his fiery red-hot head. "What do you want, Fear?" Anger grumbled, half asleep. Fear bit his lip. "Do you ever feel like something's out there, something waiting in the dark?" Anger yawned. "If there was, I'd give it a good piece of my mind. But there's nothing, Fear, just the usual quiet night. Go to bed." Fear wasn't sure. He nodded, thanked Anger, and moved on. Finally, he made his way into Sadness's room. She was curled up with her favorite soft blue blanket, looking out the window at the night sky. "Hey, Sadness," Fear whispered. She turned her calm, knowing eyes to him. "Can't sleep, can you?" Fear shook his... She turned her calm, knowing eyes to him. "Can't sleep, can you?" Fear shook his head. "It's just, what if something goes wrong? What if there's something hiding in the dark?" Sadness patted the spot next to her on the bed. "It's okay to feel that way sometimes, but you know, Fear, it's also okay to trust everything is all right. Just because things feel scary doesn't mean they are. We've made it through every night before, haven't we?" Fear sat beside her, thinking. He always felt the same way before bed, didn't he? A little uncertain, a little on edge, but nothing had ever really happened. It was just his mind playing tricks on him, making the shadows grow and the sounds louder. It was just Fear being Fear. "Maybe," he whispered, "maybe I'll just try to go to bed." Santa smiled softly and handed him a small stuffed animal. "Here, take this. It might help. Sometimes we need something to hold on to." Fear hugged the soft toy close and thanked Sadness. He made his way back to his room, feeling a little lighter. The shadows still danced, and the whispers of the night still sang, but they seemed smaller now. He crawled into his bed, tucking himself under the blankets and placing the stuffed animal beside him. As he closed his eyes, he whispered to himself, "It's okay to be afraid, but it's also okay to let go." And with that, sleepy Prince Fear drifted off to sleep, safe and sound in the kingdom of emotions, knowing that the night would pass just like all the others. He might be afraid sometimes, But he was never alone, and in the end, the dark was nothing but a quiet friend. Boy, we've been going through a lot. There's only a few stories left. Just take a look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh. Let's play a little game right before we head back on. Let's play a little short game where it's quiet. Excuse me. I know. There's only 8 stories left. Well, we have finished this part, but there's still more to go. Well, we've got back to our reading part. Sleepy Prince Fear uses Catnap's non-toxic red smoke inhaler and a pacifier to stop his snoring at night. Catnap, one of the smiling critters. He's always the calming presence, but however his smoke put all the smiling critters to sleep. All the smiling critters breathed in the toxic red smoke and puts them into a deep sleep, like an anesthetic. Ooh, we don't want toxic red smoke. Even kids have inhaled the smoke and then they started to laugh maniacally. Man, who knew this smoke would cause people to have nightmares? Well, it's not any nightmare anymore because I use the red smoke inhaler and the pacifier to stop his snoring at night. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Pacifiers, I know they're for babies, but I use them to stop my snoring, to make them quiet. Well, let's get back onto it. In the dream kingdom of Emotionia, where every royal is connected to the emotions of those who slumber, Sleepy Prince Fear ruled a peculiar domain. Unlike other princes, Fear wasn't terrifying. He was gentle, thoughtful, and always looking for ways to ease nighttime worries. But he had one major problem: his snoring. It wasn't a soft hum. It was a mighty rumble that kept everyone, including himself, awake. His snoring shook the very curtains of his castle chambers, echoed through the dreamlands, and even the peaceful dreamscapes where he was supposed to comfort sleepers. His thunderous snoring sent waves of unease through their dreams. One day, Fear was at his wits' end. He tried every trick in the dreamer's almanac, but nothing seemed to help. He even attempted counting sheep, but by the time he got to the number 50, his snores startled them all away. Determined to find a solution, Fear decided to visit Catnap, the kingdom's most famous sleep alchemist. Catnap was a mischievous creature with an ever-drowsy expression, always seen lounging on fluffy pillows, surrounded by potions and enchanted sleep aids. When Fear entered Catnap's cozy cottage, The alchemist was sprawled onto a velvet couch, barely awoke, but entirely in the control of his realm. What can I do for you, sleepy prince? Catnap purred, stretching lazily. Fear with dark circles under his eyes explained. It's my snoring, Catnap. It's out of control. I need anything to stop it. Catnap blinked slowly, then yawned as he reached for a tiny glowing red bottle. Ah, the solution to my snoring nightmares. This, he said, holding up the vial is a non-toxic red smoke inhaler. Oh, red smoke inhalers. But the inhaler was meant to cure asthma, but this one actually gets off the snoring to stop. A special mix I call the calm's breath. When you breathe it in, it soothes your snoring, and he added a wink. There's a bonus. Fear raised an eyebrow. A bonus? Catnap pulled out a pacifier. I know pacifiers are for babies, but this one's a magic pacifier, as I expected. I use it every night to soothe my snoring, in case if it gets too loud. Catnap pulled out a pacifier, not just any pacifier, but one that glimmered with a gentle, dreamlike glow. This enchanted pacifier helps you breathe softly while calming the dreams of those around you. Plus, it's stylish in a charmingly nostalgic way. Fear looked puzzled but intrigued. So I just breathe the red smoke and use the pacifier? Exactly, Catnap said. Inhale before bed and pop in the pacifier. You sleep like a kitten, and your snoring will be nothing but a whisper. Fear hesitated but trusted Catnap's expertise. That night, back in the moonlit chambers, he followed the alchemist's instructions. He inhaled deeply from the red smoke inhaler, feeling the warm, soothing tendrils of smoke fill his lungs. Instantly, his body felt lighter, as if the tension and worry of snoring melted away. Then he placed the pacifier in his mouth, feeling its gentle magic calm him from within. When Fear drifted to sleep, something incredible happened. His snoring, once loud and disruptive, were now soft like a gentle breeze. For the first time in weeks, the dream kingdom was quiet. Sleepers... Uh-oh. Looks like we've got to edit. Sorry about the red. Thus, the dream kingdom... Sleepers around Emotionia slept peacefully, their dreams undisturbed. The next morning, Fear woke up feeling rested, something he hadn't experienced in ages. He couldn't believe it had worked. The red smoke inhaler and pacifier had truly stopped his snoring. From that night forward, Sleepy Prince Fear became known not only for helping others overcome their nighttime anxieties, but also for the serene, peaceful aura that surrounded him as he slept. And whenever anyone in the kingdom complained of their snoring or restless sleep, they would seek out Catnap's non-toxic red smoke inhaler knowing that it was the secret to a perfect night's rest, pacifier included, of course. Thus, the sleepy kingdom of Emotionia thrived, with Sleepy Prince Fear leading them to the quietest, most peaceful nights imaginable, and Catnap, well, he went back to his couch as sleepy and content as ever, knowing that his magic had worked wonders once again. Well, that's all for today. It was only 1 hour. Gosh, can you believe it? Stay tuned for part 2. See you again soon.